Salut, bienvenue. Let's get into it. Oh, hi, how are you doing? Welcome if you've been here before. Welcome if you're new. And a special hello to anyone who, sorry, I don't know, I'm freaking out, has painted recently. Shout out to anyone who lives in Indiana. Hey, shout out y'all. A special hello to anyone who's recently finished a Lego set. Tell me which one it was if you did, because that's fun. Today we're gonna look at some queerphobic memes because honestly, it gives me joy to make fun of them. And it seems to give you guys joy too. So this first one, we have a man reading bedtime stories to his kids using a shield to stop the rainbow from coming at them. Protect your kids, protect this generation. From Sigma Meme Lord. That is the name I would expect. Protect your kids from what? Being themselves? Protect your kids from what? A chance at a loving relationship when they're older if they are queer? Protect your kids from what? Understanding people in the world around them instead of living in this narrow viewpoint? Stop being so scared of what you don't know. I understand if you're not queer, it might be hard to comprehend what being queer is, but it's not something you need to protect people from. We're not dangerous. The only thing that should be scared of me is the dance floor after 2 drinks, because I'm about to tear that up. Any Netflix series, unnecessary gay character. Unnecessary to who? You do realize we are real and we do exist. It's so funny when people say this, by the way, because most characters are heterosexual in movies and shows, in film. So adding that one queer character isn't even gonna disrupt everything about the show. You still have plenty of representation, you still have plenty of people to relate to, and getting upset that 1, even 2 of those characters are queer makes you just a bigot. If you can't sit down and watch a show that focuses on, let's say, a heterosexual couple, and then one of them has a gay friend or sister or something, and you're sitting there like, well, that ruined the whole show. I just can't, that just won't do. You should really search within yourself and find out why you feel so disgusted and upset about that. You have a lot of unlearning to do when it comes to what queer people do and are. Is any amount of visibility going to be enough for them? Amazon, Disney, Netflix, Hershey's, Nike, Google, Facebook, TikTok. Oh my god, transphobes everywhere, literally trans genocide. Wait, why is the plane trans? Also, a lot of these companies are not exactly super supportive. Like putting Amazon and trans flag together was an interesting choice when Amazon stands against a lot of what queer people typically stand for. Also, what do you mean Google? Is it because you can search the word trans? What do you mean TikTok? Is it because trans people can post there? I'm sorry, but I've never seen TikTok literally come out and be like, we love trans people and we dislike everyone else. Is it because trans people can exist on TikTok and can exist on Facebook and you can Google the word on Google? That seems like an absurd amount of visibility to you. Also, visibility doesn't mean it's good visibility all the time. I mean, if you take a look at Netflix, first of all, the LGBTQ+ section is not very large. Let me start there. As somebody who has been trying to watch more queer-related media, it's not great. And then you have to also look at that tiny section, and if you're going to speak specifically about trans people, that already tiny section gets a lot smaller. I think Disney's had like maybe 1 or 2 trans characters. I'm gonna have to fact check myself on that one, but I really don't think that they're going all out when it comes to trans characters. I mean, I'm queer and I dive into queer media a lot, and I honestly can't think of one right now. Granted, I'm not a huge Disney person. I know they've had like a few queer characters here and there, but still not a lot, especially when you put it to the amount of media they've made over the years. So to sit here and be like, that's so much visibility, it's just not. Especially because a lot of the companies with the current administration have pulled back and pulled out of trans representation and queer representation in general because they care about their money more than the people. And when it's not in to support us, they aren't supporting us. I still don't understand the trans plane. I like it though. I'd fly trans west. I just think that people over-exaggerate what it means when a company releases a piece of some sort of pride merch or character, and they're like, oh my god, everything is woke propaganda now. And it's like, hey, it's okay for something to exist for queer people. We exist too, so sometimes we want to partake in life in society in the world around us too. I don't understand why that's such a hard concept to grasp. Is anyone a doctor? I'm a doctor. What is happening? Heart attack. I'm a doctor in gender studies. She is going to die. She. It just makes me deep sigh because it's just not accurate to real life. First of all, using the word doctor in this context, doctor is anybody with a doctorate. So you can be a doctor of gender studies. You can be a doctor of psychology. When you use the word in context, it does make sense. But when you pull it out of context like this, obviously in this fake scenario, it's weird. I just can't imagine somebody dying on the ground and people being like, we need a doctor, and then somebody being like, time for my PhD to step in. It's just not realistic. And while I understand this is exaggerated for the point of a meme or a joke or whatever, it's really just discouraging that this is how some cis heterosexual people view queer people and queer allies as well. Because I truly do think they over-exaggerate what happens when it comes to gender or misgendering. There's a difference between like telling somebody, hey, this is who I am, please respect that, and then that person continuously going out of their way to make that person invalidated or to use the wrong pronouns for somebody, versus a scenario like this where somebody's dying on the floor and the person is questioning if you're using the correct pronouns. This is just not real. And most people, if you misgender them, are just gonna politely correct you. I mean, if you sit there and you poke the bear and you continuously try to like make fun of them or hurt them or invalidate them, of course at a certain point they're gonna get upset, they're gonna get mad. But I think it's this absolute misunderstanding of queer people to think that they're going to absolutely lose it on you if you don't automatically understand or know who they are or what they identify with. 12th birthday. Happy birthday, Billy. Wow, internet on the go. 13th birthday. Ugh, I'm a gay, trans, autistic, Muslim, disabled, Antifa, feminine, furry. I make art and my commissions are open. And then we have somebody with a euthanasia kit and the mom crying. So basically saying that if her kid were any of these things, she would want them put to death. The internet, by the way, doesn't make people these things. It can give people access to better understanding themselves. Like, oh no, the worst thing you can imagine your child being is somebody with an understanding of who they are and their likes and their dislikes. What? And also with some of the things that are on here, including it with the euthanasia kit, is just really fucked up. Especially when you look at historical background. I truly just don't understand the point of being so mad about somebody just being themselves. So what if she's a furry? So what if she likes to dress up? Who cares? How does that affect you? Why does it matter? Who cares if this person is autistic? How does that affect you? It's them in their own personal life and how they navigate the world, and also not a choice. You don't just go online and be like, I'm autistic now. I mean, maybe you'll be able to find things that relate to you and maybe you'll get an idea that you are autistic. I mean, not everybody can afford a diagnosis because of the capitalistic society we live in. And so you're upset that they're trying to make understanding of their experiences. And that's not me saying everybody should go self-diagnose. I do think getting a diagnosis is the best thing you can do if you can, but there is a heavy if you can on that because a lot of people can't. But that's like a whole other conversation with a lot of gray area, especially depending on what you're trying to self-diagnose with, because there's differences in what it means to self-diagnose with certain things, and that's a whole other topic. But what I'm saying is gaining access to understanding yourself is not the problem. I think I would rather my kid be able to understand themselves and discover certain parts about themselves rather than be locked inside, being told how they should be and act, and then having to live a life that was never worth living for them. It's just gross. We need to let children be whatever they want to be. What if they want to be conservative? Angry. I mean, I'll just be honest, I'd be upset if my kid was conservative. I wouldn't kick them out of my home like parents do to queer kids. I wouldn't make them live on the street or couch surf at 15 like people do to queer kids. I would hope that they would find their way. I would try to educate them. I would wonder where they learned this dislike and distrust of everyone around them. I would be concerned about the education they got because clearly it wasn't great. but I wouldn't disown them. Discovering something that doesn't exist, other gender than male/female. It's like that person in a group that just keeps saying the same joke, even though nobody thought it was funny in the first place, but on such a heightened scale. It is objectively fact that gender and sex are not the same things. Male and female are sex, which also male and female aren't the only sex, because you have intersex, which shows the sliding scale of sex in itself. And it's also objectively fact that there are more than male and female as gender. Like, just historically, when you look through all the different cultures that have existed around us, there are more genders, because gender is a construct. And what people mean when they say that is that when you go from culture to culture, you see gender being done differently. You see different genders existing. It's not this neat little box that people want to tie it into, because it's a lot more than that. And I want to say that when people say this, it's because they just have a lack of understanding of what gender actually means and what people are saying when they say it's a social construct. But I think at this point, there's so many resources out there for people to educate themselves that they just don't want to, because it pushes back against their belief systems. When it comes to educating yourself, some people shy away and get scared and discouraged when it changes their way of thinking, because that's what education does. It changes how you think. So we have basically the same meme, but they just pasted a bunch of pride flags. But if you look down in the right corner, they just probably took like a stock image pride flag photo from fucking Google and copy and pasted it, because heterosexual is on the bottom right, which is just, I thought was super funny that they didn't catch that within being upset about queer people, that they also discredit their own sexuality. Or maybe they just don't believe in sexuality at all. Did you have to grow into a place to be comfortable with that side of you? I wouldn't give a fuck, because it's like, I love everybody. I don't judge nobody. I have gay friends. I have trans friends. You know what I'm saying? I done dated. You're accepting of everybody. I don't give a damn, and everyone knows that. So when somebody like a rapper that people really look up to, especially, you know, cis heterosexual men, they get really upset, and it caused like this whole breakdown in these men who listen to this music. The streets right now, after finding out Cardi likes shaboing boing in his throat. Why does it matter to you? He's just making his music and being himself and dating who he wants to date. It's just such a strange thing to me how people will look up to somebody and then immediately backtrack on that when they do something that is not an actual issue. That is not an actual problematic thing. He just dated who he wanted to date. Cardi admitted to dating a trans/guy individual. I just can't imagine caring this much about who somebody is dating if that person is not harmful. Like, if my favorite musician popped out with somebody who has felonies for like murder, yeah, sure, I'd be like, what? No, I'm done. But because this person admitted to dating somebody who's trans in the past, that's enough for you to go, I'm gonna rage tweet. Granted, this is more of a mild one from some of the ones I have seen. I mean, even the person who posted this, you could see is very upset with it, with the emojis they're using and the way they're speaking about the person that Cardi dated. It's just really strange to me. Man, I fell down to my knees. Stand up. Gay people, when you tell them not to give a lap dance to kindergartners. Nobody's doing that. That's just not happening. It's like you're creating these scenarios to get upset about, to therefore make your argument more sound and concrete without any actual research or knowledge on what you're talking about. I'm assuming this relates to drag queen book readings, because that's the only thing I can even think of that would even correlate somehow to what this person is speaking about. But if you've ever actually seen a drag queen reading, it's literally just somebody dressed up all pretty reading a story. It's not sexual. And this idea that queer people are inherently sexual needs to go away, because it is so harmful. I'm not looking at every straight couple that's holding hands and immediately thinking about what they do or how they act behind closed doors. I'm not looking at every person who goes to do a reading time that's dressed up nice as a weirdo. I don't know. I just think it's so strange that people are so scared of somebody wearing a dress. Out of everything to be scared of in this current world, in this current political climate, you're hunkering down on dress scary, dress bad, dress taint children. I just not buying it. I'm a lesbian unless you're a man I find attractive. Not how it works. Not how it works. That's not what lesbian means. It's just not. And you could tell this was made by some man who was upset. That's just the vibe it gives. I mean, sure, there are people who label and then discover that they used the wrong label and then find themselves throughout life, and to that I say, who cares? But to discredit an entire sexuality because some people discover themselves differently than others is not chill, nor good, nor yay. And it's just another way for men to excuse preying on lesbians. Because if you're sitting here believing that you have a shot with every lesbian that walks by because of a few people that might have identified as a lesbian and then realized they weren't, that makes you fucking weird. And yes, I'm gonna say that because of this meme, because that's the vibe it gives. It's also very much giving classic incel, unless you're a man I find attractive. Meaning that the person who posted this probably isn't typically found attractive and therefore does not get girls, so he's being like, let me discredit lesbians because, oh, you would have done it if it was Chad. Sorry, I've been on too many incel websites for videos in the past, and it's just, that's what it's screaming at me. Obviously, I don't know that for sure. And that is just me talking out my ass because of my knowledge on memes and stuff like this in the past, but that's what it's giving to me. Los Angeles 5 days ago. Comments. Why is no one talking about the two men kissing? Because it's normal in this generation, sadly. Because their dads didn't spank them. I didn't say that because it's so cringe. You're weird. You're such a weirdo. You're like, oh, let's hurt children to make them not gay. Something that they can't control. Something that will literally just make them either live a life that is unsatisfying and that they hate, or make them stop talking to you because you suck so bad. Sadly normal in this generation. Being queer has always existed. This is not something that just appeared out of nowhere. This is something that's always been around. Saying in this generation is also wild because people were saying that when I was like 10, being like, queer's the new thing in this generation, and now here we are in 2025 and people are saying it still. I'm sure the people in the 60s heard the same thing. There are cultures where being queer used to be widely accepted because it just didn't fucking matter. I will never forgive what religious institutions do to countries and governments. It's gonna exist even if you're upset about it. That's the thing, right? You can sit here and you can cry and you can moan and bitch about it all you want, but it doesn't make it go away because being queer is a truth. That is a fact. It objectively exists. It is something that is within certain people that you cannot just make go away. So you can spend your life being bitter and upset about it and trying to find ways to change it or change somebody, and it just is not gonna happen. Well, that was a joy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. If you really liked it, consider subscribing. Also, my roommate and I started a podcast. I'll link it somewhere here. I'll link it in the description as well. It has nothing to do with homophobia. It's on like supernatural topics and conspiracy theories and stuff like that because we find that like super interesting. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out. The next episode's coming out soon. We already have the first episode out. And with that being said, thank you guys so much. I'll see you later. Bye.